This is TWiT. Today we're going to talk a little bit about disaster relief because of our, horrific Hurricane Harvey down in the Gulf. And by the way, our hearts and prayers, as you said, going out to everybody. Well, you're from that area.
I grew up in Houston.
That's where your dad's from? And
no, but we're all from New York. But we moved in the 80s to Houston.
To make paste chili sauce.
No, advertising.
Oh, that's right.
The allure of advertising. But
so
yeah,
you know that area very well.
I looked up some video. I think we have it from my neighborhood where I actually grew up, Fleetwood neighborhood. I found this video, and it's just water up to people's windows.
Had you ever seen anything like that?
No, nothing like it. I mean, that's what they say. This is unprecedented.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Look at that.
Just like people swimming
around. Oh, that's
around.
devastating. I mean, not just the loss of property, but the loss of life. Pets, too, I mean,
yes.
This is just devastating.
And anyone who is criticizing people for not evacuating, please stop, because they didn't know. They had no idea, and then when it came...
Well, we kind of knew.
Well, they didn't know where to evacuate to.
That's the problem. And where do you go?
Yeah, they didn't want a bunch of people stuck in traffic, and then...
and then a flood.
Yes,
yeah.
So everybody's doing what they can, and we're going to talk about some resources that you can help if you are not there, and you can help out. So
I think it starts with Apple. Has always been very good about supporting the Red Cross in times like this. And I didn't check, but I bet you if you go to iTunes, there's a Red Cross donate button that you can use your iTunes account and send money.
Yes, incredibly easy. Just open iTunes. I think we have the link down at the bottom of that first block. Yeah, just you can donate money.
Couldn't be easier.
To the Red Cross. And the Red Cross is on the ground there if you watch the news. There are some people who will take issue with the Red Cross and say, do not donate to the Red Cross.
What?
The money never gets to the right people. Their executives get paid too much. If you feel that way, there are some other places that you can donate to. I'm saying, just because I think a lot of people sometimes say, well, I can't donate to the Red Cross, I'm going to move on and donate to nobody. If you don't feel strongly about donating to the Red Cross, there are other places. I do still have a lot of friends who live in Houston, and Team Rubicon is one. That link is at the bottom too, and fundraise on Team Rubicon. This is an interesting organization. Veterans and first responders, a lot of the first responders are veterans. This gives money to them, and they are also on the ground. So you can get there by fundraise.teamrubicon or just teamrubiconusa.com. You can check them out as well. And if you are going to be there it goes. So you can donate. These are people that are on the ground, and so veterans who know what they do, they know what to do in a disaster like this. And so you can, donate to them as well. If you have stuff to donate, check my Twitter account at Megan Maroney. I just posted something that was shared by a friend of mine who's at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, and they're telling you specifically what to do with stuff. So you separate it, what they need, what they don't need. For example, they don't need pots and pans because they can't really do anything with those right now. But yeah, they're just specific needs. So what they're getting is a lot of just big bags of people's extra stuff, and they would like you to do certain things with it.
We should point out, it's not just Houston, of course. There's other areas, Galveston, Porter, and other towns that are affected. And donations to the region will support people in all, I presume, will support people in all those regions.
And it is headed to Louisiana, they say.
Yeah.
So
still going on. Wow.
Yeah. So, donate if you can. And yeah, I think.
And somebody in the chat room is pointing this out, and I was looking at Charity Navigator, which I use before I donate to a charity. If you're concerned, I think the Red Cross is fine, and I always give to them. But if you're concerned, or you see another charity that you're thinking about donating to, you can go to charitynavigator.org, and they rate all the charities based on how much of the money goes to the cause, how much of it goes to executives, to operating expenses, how transparent their accounting is, and things like that. And I always use this. In fact, before we decided to remember we were donating money to UNICEF during our 24 hours of New Year's. We did that a couple of years in a row. And before we did that, of course, we checked on Charity Navigator to make sure that they were transparent and gave a lot of the monty. I think the Red Cross is just fine. But in fact, that's who I give my money to. Mostly because it's easy, right?
Yeah, and they're there. Like I've seen the news
And
reports
they're
where
there.
people yeah.
They're handing out donuts like nobody's business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and this is not going to end now. So if you can't donate now, I mean, there will still be need in months from now, years probably from now as well. And
families need diapers. It's amazing all the things that we take for granted, the infrastructure we have, the grocery stores, the supplies that we get, and when those aren't there, it's amazing. It doesn't take long before you realize it's hard to live without all of this infrastructure around us. Help out.
Yeah, so the other way is just to educate yourself about it. And I've just gone through Apple News, using the Apple News app, which has gotten better and better. And you can really, you don't have to open a bunch of different apps, go to a bunch of different websites. Of course, it's right there. You can get the latest news, and you can see what really, like I said, Louisiana flooding expected next, and what you can watch videos from there. And
one of the reasons it's getting better for you is the more you use it and the more time you curate it, put into curation, the better it gets. So it will get better as you use Apple News. My experience initially with Apple News was it was pretty terrible, but you really want to go in there and follow the news sources that you want to keep track of, and unfollow the news sources. Because I notice if you don't, that you're going to get a lot of news sources, especially in tech, where I'm a little bit more aware of what's going on. You're going to get some news sources that maybe are not the best in the world. In fact, many of them don't seem to speak English at all, and so I would work on that a little bit to make Apple News more usable. But it really, it is getting better. They're putting more energy into it. They've hired editors and so forth to make it a better service. And yeah, this is kind of the go-to place on an iPad or an iPhone.
Yeah, and then you like or dislike there with those hearts.
Yeah,
that's how
it'll get better and better and better.
And you can easily share. And Anthony, if you could bring up that Atlantic article it's just all the disaster in photos, that is pretty amazing. Because I think we get really it's hard to see exactly how bad it is.
Yeah, the photos really bring it home, especially for you, because you know this area. You know that that's not supposed to be wet.
No, I mean Houston is the fourth
on-ramps.
largest city in the United States.
But much like New Orleans, it's built on bayous. I think I didn't know this until the hurricane, and I read about it. That it's easily flooded because it's surrounded by water, and there's water going kind of into and around the town as well. Which
means a lot of people also have boats, which is
it's a good thing.
A lot of people have been rescued.
Yeah, there's a guy in a boat. He looks like he's a boater.
The other thing is you can get so much live coverage now too. People are periscoping, and you have to. I
couldn't believe it. I went to Facebook. Oh my gosh, look at that! I went to Facebook, and I think it was the Washington Post was streaming a live video. Just of kind of going around town. Must be something for you to see. Yeah.
Well, I was watching. Someone was one of their reporters couldn't get in. It was like the local Houston news, and they were periscoping from their boat, and all of a sudden, they took out this bottle of vodka and started doing shots.
It's not recommended.
And the two anchors were like, "Oh, looks like they're drinking water," and it's like, well, that's not water. Bottle. They're taking shots of vodka. They deserve it.
You put water,
which caused them to say rescue responsibly. So. The other place where you can get up-to-date news from the ground is Reddit, which I love, and they have a Hurricane Harvey live mega thread, which gives you numbers for non-emergency requests and inquiries, and a list of open shelters, and evacuation points. And I have the Reddit app open on my iPad, which is it's just got everything that you would need in an emergency. Hopefully you have power and some kind of, maybe a generator to be able to get to Reddit. But that's where and this is also good for future, what you need to know in the future.
I am a fan of Reddit, and I would recommend, I don't know if we've recommended this in the past, Reddit has its own app, which I don't recommend. Reddit has an official Reddit app. Because there are better third-party apps. There are quite a few, and the one I use is called Narwhal, which I don't know what that has to do with Reddit. It's a kind of creature, right? That has a. Anyway, Narwhal is. And I do it in night mode. You can do it in day mode as well. But Narwhal is a really great way to read Reddit. I find very easy to track, and I feel like Reddit is a mixed bag, right? So it's a good idea probably to use a tool that lets you subscribe to the good stuff and eschew I like that word, eschew the bad stuff on Reddit. But it is often a really great resource, especially in times like this, because Redditors are very active.
Yes.
They really go out there.
Yeah.